Hello, everyone, and welcome to another amazing segment of Sound Mind. My name is Brian Collier, your host, and I am so excited that you've taken the time to join us today. Listen, I appreciate week after week your support, your comments, your messages, your love. Thank you so much for not just supporting Hope TV, but specifically supporting Sound Mind. I want to thank our executive producer, Dr. E. Dewey Smith Jr. Thank you so much for your vision and your leadership that's given us the space and opportunity to have real conversations about our mental and emotional health. In addition to that, I want to thank those behind the scenes people, our assistant producers, our tech people in the background. Thank you for all you do. It wouldn't be possible without you. So just like every week, I need you to tag at least 5 people. I need you to share with people, tell them it's time for Sound Mind. Come on and jump in because we have another amazing couch to sit on today. Our guest today is Ms. Montre Ashley. She's a certified professional life coach who works with groups and individuals. She partners with churches, businesses, schools, and communities, utilizing her extensive management experience to promote optimal change. She specializes in encouraging, equipping, and empowering. She's a Georgia native and graduated from Valdosta State University with a bachelor's in business administration. She also holds a master's of science and administration degree from Central Michigan University and a master of arts degree in human services and counseling life coaching from Liberty University. Additionally, she is a member of the National Counseling and Coaching Society. Her extensive experience in education and management and coaching is a testament to her motto, hard work pays off. Please welcome the couch we'll be sitting on today, Miss Montre Ashley.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. It is a joy and a pleasure to be with you today.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are so ecstatic about having you. Now, listen, this is going to be a fun time. Our time, as always, seems to run out so fast, so I want to get to it. But before we do that, can you share with us a little bit more about yourself?
Well, I mean, you covered a lot of it, but some of my personal information, of course, I've been married to my husband for 26 years. We just celebrated our anniversary last week. And I have one son. Yes, thank you very much. And it has been, an awesome journey, of course, but especially with things going on now, you have to kind of shift gears every now and again, but it has definitely been a blessing. God has been moving in our lives. He's showing us things. And, with my life coaching practice, he's been blessing, and especially during the pandemic with people can't get out and do things that they were customarily doing. And it's just a wonderful thing for him to continue to still work and show himself strong in so many different ways. But I'm excited to be here, and hopefully my life experiences and my training will be able to help somebody else so they can continue to have a sound mind during this journey that we're all embarking upon.
Yes, so true, so true. Congratulations again. And you've literally segued us into our conversation today. Now, listen, I started out the year with my vision declaration board. I knew what I had planned. Like, I had goals, I had fitness goals, I had weight goals, I had work goals, I had personal life goals. And can I be honest with you? It is September and I feel off track. And I don't know if there's anybody else, if that's you out there in the virtual world, can you just message in the comments if you feel off track as well? But can you help us today? Is it even normal for us to feel off track right now?
Absolutely. With so many and things that are going on that we're not familiar with, we're not accustomed to, it's not normal to kind of feel a little off track and out of whack. But the main thing that you need to do is acknowledge that you feel that way, because I think sometimes we get so focused on being happy and achieving our goals and reaching our destiny, quote unquote, that society has deemed upon us, that we forget that we need to be healthy. And that's more important. If you're healthy, then that will lead to your happiness. So first thing I think that we need to do is acknowledge, hey, I'm not where I want it to be. You know, at this particular stage in my life, there are a lot of things, like you said, you had a lot of goals, you had your vision board set, and as many as all of us did, a lot of us did. But, once you say, okay, this is not where I am, but then you have to make the necessary adjustments. Let's see what I can do differently to get to whatever it is that I'm trying to achieve. And sometimes we look like, or it feels like we don't have a lot to work with, but we just have to work with what we have. And then just try to go in that same path with connecting with other people who may have been down that path, or finding those different resources. But again, it is normal, especially with everything that's going on. I mean, this is not normal for us. Everybody that's living now has not ever experienced a pandemic. Our loved ones are passing away where we can't get to them. They're dying alone, and people are losing jobs. You were making six figures. Now you're at the Walmart, packing groceries. So it's different. And so we have to do things differently. And one of those things is just making sure that you're surrounding yourself with that support system that you need, that can help you, so that you can still keep a sound mind in the process of, at some point, realizing, now this is key, this is just temporary. It's not going to always be like this. And it may seem like we don't have a time limit on how long it's going to be. But keeping that in your mind, it may be crazy right now, but this is just temporary.
This is just
I almost
temporary.
feel a preach in me right now.
Watch your voice. Watch your voice.
I that a little bit.
Well, I love that you pointed out that, one, these are abnormal times. So would it be fair to say that even in a regular year, if COVID wasn't present, that around this time people tend to just get off track from their goals that they set out for in January? So with the added pressure of COVID, the political tensions in our world, just life overall, death of celebrities that have had major impacts, such as Chadwick Boseman, where do we even start with refocusing and redefining and getting back on track?
Start where you are. Right where you are. I think sometimes what we typically do, we make the mistake is we try to, when we look back, we got this list of things that we intended on happening and they didn't happen. We sometimes want to start over, but don't start over. Just pick up right where you left off. So if you were at number 2 on your list of 20 things to do, okay, let's see where we ended with number 2, and we just go from there. And that keeps you from becoming overwhelmed. And that's one of the key things is, once you become overwhelmed, your judgment gets clouded. You make decisions hastily. You don't have all that you need to make those decisions. But if you just take a moment, let me see where I stopped, and let me just pick up right there. Of course, you need to make some assessments to see where you are, and then try to incorporate any additional things that you need to go along with it. But don't try to start over. Don't try to reinvent the wheel. Just start from right where you are. Just be basic. I think we overcomplicate things sometimes. Let's just keep it simple.
Keep it simple. Listen, I don't know if y'all out there are hearing this, but she's already worked it all out. Keep it simple and start where you are. And they seem really small, but let's be honest, when we're looking at our laundry list of things we wanted to accomplish and only having 3 more months to go in this year, it's overwhelming, because we gauge success in such a toxic way sometimes. What would you say to someone who's binging their success on that list, on those objectives only?
Well, I think sometimes we, like you said, if we have a laundry list of things to do, we have made unrealistic expectations of ourselves. We pushed ourselves too hard, and then when you don't meet those expectations, you start feeling like a failure. You start feeling like you're not going to be successful, when sometimes it was never intended for you to do those things. 20 things a year doesn't necessarily make you successful, because, I mean, let's just look at it for what it is. Normally, even if we weren't in a pandemic, could you have really accomplished that many things anyway? And if you did you give it 100%? Or were you just doing it just to check off a list, check off your box? Okay, I did this, I did this. But was it meaningful? So you can accomplish two things out the year and make a difference and an impact in this world, in somebody's life, in your community's life, versus, the 15 or 20 things that you had on your laundry list and it meant nothing. So I always encourage people, when they set goals, number one, they need to be realistic, but then also number two, sometimes you have to readjust those goals based on what's going on around you, based on what's happening, in your circumstances. You have to make those necessary adjustments and then, continue to plan accordingly. So don't look at it as a failure. It's good to roll over. So at the end of this year, this next 3 months, don't feel like, okay, I got to get these things done in 3 months, because if I don't, this may not happen. It may not have meant to have happened, but whatever you did, as long as you gave it 100%, that's what matters. And then 2021, should the Lord allow us to live to see it, then we're going to pick up where we left off.
Yep. I love it. You've intrigued me, because now, as I shared with your bio, your personal testament and motto is hard work always pays off. Can we just work a little bit really quickly on the difference of just doing things to check boxes versus doing things with intentionality, and that hard works pay off mantra that you have?
Sure. Now, if you're just doing something to check off a box, then at the end of the day, typically you won't feel fulfilled. But if you are truly, walking in your purpose and you're putting your heart into it, then at the end of the day, you're going to feel like what you did mattered. You're going to feel like what you did made a difference. And that's the key. I just strongly believe that if you're truly giving yourself and everything that you're working towards and making sure that you're putting your heart and soul in it, it is going to eventually pay off. Now, you may not always see results immediately. Let's be realistic about that. Sometimes you don't see everything up front, because you can't plant and sow at the same time. Hello, somebody.
Say that one more time.
You cannot plant and sow at the same time. So while you're sowing, and it may not look like you're reaping, you just still have to continue to sow, because eventually that seed is going to sprout up, especially if you planted on good soil and you've done everything that you needed to do to make sure that that seed comes up. So again, you may not see the payoff immediately. It may not be this year, it may be next year, and it may be the year after that, but eventually it will pay off. And the law of reciprocity, you always reap more than you sow. Always. So that hard work will eventually pay off.
It's so good. Now, I'm going to get in some trouble here, because, my generation, the millennial generation, have been deemed the ones who like instant gratification. But through my years of living, I've noticed it's not one specific generation that likes instant gratification. We as a people, humanity, we want quick results. And I think in this year of 2020, all of that desire for wanting something quick and wanting to see a change, we have really seen that it is quite possibly just more unhealthy. People being in a haste to open back their states. And I don't want to be too political, but trying to move on past things and try to get back to normal has not been as profitable as they thought it would be. Some of us knew it wouldn't be profitable. So help us. How about that instant gratification? How can we start to dismantle that desire for wanting things to reap and plant at the same time? Help us with that.
Well, I'm going to continue on with that same analogy. I remember growing up because I'm a country girl. I didn't say that initially, but during the planting season of a farmer, they have to allow the land its time to replenish. They have to
Mm,
allow the land its time to settle before they plant again. Because if you constantly beat on it, if you constantly till on it, if you constantly, digging into it, it never has that opportunity to, replenish itself and get ready for the
mhm,
next season of harvest, if you will.
mm,
So if we don't, as a nation, as a people, as a culture, don't allow ourselves this space to replenish ourselves, when everything does open back up, we're all going to be going on 100 cylinders. But guess what? We'll be right back where we are, and we won't be effective. And
mm.
and and that's the thing. I think that we're rushing to get back into the hustle and bustle. But one of the things I've learned and during this time is we can get away with, we can live with less. We've proven it, that we can do more with less during this pandemic. We don't need all of this stuff. We need the basics. Even as God has said that, we shouldn't take no thought for tomorrow. It'll take care of itself. And he cares for us. He gives us the food, the housing, and all of those things. But we want to get out because we want to prove ourselves. I
Mhm,
want to meet my
mhm.
goals. I want to achieve this. I got to be better than Mr. This. I got to be better than Mrs. That. And if we don't allow ourselves that time to grow, allow things to shed off of us that should not be, that cause us to get in this position in the first place,
Mhm.
then when we get back out there, we're going to end up the same way, if not worse. So
Yeah.
one of the things we need to do is we need to change our perspective
Mhm.
and shifting that focus that, okay, it starts with me. If everybody starts with themselves and looks at themselves and see, okay, what can I do differently? What is it
Mhm.
about me that I need to change? What is it about me that can make me better? What is it about me that I can pour into someone else that can make this world a better place? So if you figure that out, once God gives you that revelation, and a lot of times we already know, we just sometimes don't want to acknowledge that. We don't want to admit it. But yeah, hello, amen. But once
Amen.
we get that understanding, then we start from there, changing that focus. We're going to shift to something positive. We're going to shift to, those things that are going to make a difference, that are impactful, and that's going to change the world. We need to be world changers and stop waiting on everybody to hand spoon us and give us things that's going to change, to be changed for our benefit. But it's not about us. We weren't put on this earth just for ourselves.
Mm. That's good. That is good. We were not put on this earth for just ourselves. If y'all are loving this, I need to make sure you're putting some thumbs up in the comments, some amens in the comments, because she is preaching to us today. So you've started us off. Start where we are. Begin where we left off. Be conscious of how much we try to accomplish in these last 3 months. So, can you provide us some specific strategies or tips on moving through these next 3 months to get back on track?
Okay, so as you've kind of already started recapping it, which is good, first you need to do is identify those areas that, are still unclear, those areas that you want to work on, and then assess them and see if it's necessary at this moment.
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes we think things are important and we think things are a priority, and we get those two things mixed up. Just because you've made it a priority doesn't mean it's important. So we need to figure out
Ooh,
what's most important first and then prioritize that
that's good.
and then go
That's
from
good.
there. And then another thing I like to encourage people to do is see what else is out there, see what else is going on around you, but don't internalize that. You're just using it as a gauge to see where you can go. And then once you figure that out, then pick it apart and see what parts you can apply to your own self. because just because it's out there, you know, we got all these get quick tricks and, you know, 7 steps to do this and 10 steps to do that. Some of those things work, but then they may not work for you. So you may be able to pick one thing from somebody, one thing from someone else, you know, but then you still need to apply it to you and your gifts, passion, and see if it works for you. And it's okay. You know, one thing I like to tell my clients is when you make a mistake, it doesn't mean that you're a failure. You just failed at that thing.
Right.
And once you discovered that you failed at that thing, now let's shift gears and see what didn't work, and let's start using what, and then build upon that. And then once you get that, and you just continue to assess, you're going to make adjustments, and then just keep walking that path. And you got to keep that positive attitude. And there are those days where you're not going to have a positive attitude. And we'll get into it, I know, a little later when we're talking about the emotional roller coaster. And I'm so excited about one of my passions and helping people with that. But you just still want to make sure that you're real with yourself. That's the main thing. Stop living your life based on somebody else's reality when it's not your reality. Stop comparing yourself to somebody else's reality when it's not your reality. God made no one the same. Nobody, even Indians have differences. So you looking at the way somebody else is achieving and you feel like, I have the same gifts. I can sing, I can write, I can dance. How come this? How come that? Well, it wasn't meant for you, ma'am or sir. You know, we all have different paths. And so once we come to that understanding that their path is not my path and I'm going to walk my own journey, your shoes are too big and mine may be too small. Either way, they don't fit you and mine fit me. So I hope that helps. You know,
that's good. Oh, that's so good. That's so good. I remember in undergrad, I was seeking to run for a specific office, and I would have to fill some shoes of someone who was before me that did an amazing job. And I was talking to a mentor of mine about how to approach like keeping that legacy. And they said, it's easy. Take their shoes, bronze them, put them on the shelf, and we're yours. You need their shoes to look at it.
I clapped.
You need their shoes to look at it and just see what they've done, but you have your own path to make. And what you shared is so real, especially in this year. I'll be honest with you, I've had to disconnect from social media because for me, I get this thing of like looking at what other people have and I'm like, well, I should be further off right now. It's a shame that I'm not in this place in life. Most of my friends are either married or have kids or, you know, they're at the height of the peak of their career and making moves. And for me, I haven't always felt that way. But like you said, I have to focus. What am I called to do? Because what you'll realize is that sometimes where you think you are missing out, they're looking at you hoping they are where you are. And that's what comparison does. Comparison puts you in this place where you're like, wait, hold on. I'm jealous of you, but you jealous of me. What's really going on here? And it's walking in what you're called to do, walking in what you're gifted to do. I want to deal with that a little bit more. Can you help us in redirecting our focus? And you said this earlier on the things that are important, the main things. Because right now, with us being bored and, you know, cabin fever and restricted, we tend to get off focus and start to prioritize things that shouldn't be prioritized or focus on things that aren't the main thing. In September, with the 3 months to go, help us focus on some of the main things. How can we change our focus to concentrate on the main things?
Well, I think first of all, one thing you can do is once you start looking at yourself, I did a seminar a few months ago before the pandemic, and it was entitled "Take a Selfie." So a selfie in its original should have just included you. That's why it's called, hence the word selfie. You know, but it expanded into taking selfies with other people.
Mm-hmm.
What really a selfie if it has other people, included in your picture, because it's supposed to be about you. So once you sit down and take that selfie, meaning you need to look at yourself, you have to determine, is this me or is this somebody else? Have I been living my life based on somebody else's dreams, based on somebody else's expectations of me? And then once you figure all those things out, I think sometimes we need to reinvent ourselves, if you will. If you've been wearing this mask, trying to live up to everybody else's standards, trying to keep bonuses and so forth, and sometimes when you take that mask off, it's like you're looking in the mirror and you're saying, who am I? Well, you don't know because you've been wearing all of these hats, doing all these different things for everybody, for someone else, and not for yourself. And then I think sometimes now, even with the pandemic, we don't know what to do because we don't know who we are. And then because you've been doing it for everybody else, and now that you can't do it for everybody else, so you feel meaningless, you feel like you're not worth anything. But God, I think, has allowed us this opportunity so that you can see who you are, so that he can begin to develop those gifts that you have, and then so that you can go forth and do those things that he's called you to do. But then also, I think sometimes people don't want to be by themselves is because they don't feel as important. When I was out in the hustle and bustle, when I was in corporate America, or when I was, Mrs. Assistant to that person, to this celebrity, so on and so forth, I felt important. But now that I can't do that, again, going back to who am I? Am I really important? Yes, you're still important, but now you just need to refocus. You got to refocus your energy. And once you determine who you are and you reinvent yourself, it's okay to see, to figure out, I'm not who I thought I was. You may have thought that you were called to, be, let's say, for example, at church, I thought I was supposed to be an usher. Well, no, you really weren't. You just did that because people said that you were friendly, but you were really supposed to be working in the marketing area. I mean, you don't know if you don't try it. So now that you have this time to do that, this is the opportunity for you to seize these moments and then be able to go out once the opportunity allows us to go out and do that. But take that moment, take that selfie. It's uncomfortable. It doesn't always feel good because, again, you'll start digging, pulling back those layers. You get deep. You don't know who that person is on the inside. But once you discover that, you'll see that, yes, I'm flawed, but I'm still blessed. I'm flawed, but God can still use me. I'm flawed, but I matter. And, once this is all said and done, I'm going to be able to go out and I'm going to be equipped. I'm going to be encouraged and I'm going to be empowered.
Yes. That's so good. It's so powerful. Well, thank you. Listen, our time, like I said, was going to move so quickly. But before we leave, I want to just say thank you so much for being here with us. We're going to bring you back. You have been phenomenal with helping us to get back on track. But before we leave your couch today, can you give us some final thoughts to help us get through the week as we work towards getting back on track?
Yes, sure. One thing I would like to just leave with you all is, when you're going through this week, take a minute to smell the roses. Always be thankful. And then once you're thankful, start looking at opportunities for yourself to see what else that you can do differently, and just make a difference with what you have. Work with what you have, and not focusing on what you don't have. Because guess what? Whatever God gave you at the moment, it's enough.
It's enough. It's enough. Do y'all hear this? Do y'all hear this? She is spewing this gold this morning. It is enough. Well, thank you so much once again for joining us. And to you, my viewers, thank you so much for being here with us. I hope you were blessed by what we heard today. It's time to get back on track. I know some of you have fallen off these fitness goals, these financial plans, but wherever you stop, get back on. I'm starting my diet back. I'm going to start back walking again because those were some things I said I wanted to do. But start where you are. You have 3 months to go, and it won't always be like this. That's what I want to leave with you. So until next time, thank you so much for joining us, and protect your sound mind. Take care, everybody.